We're back, and now we can talk a little bit of what we were going to talk about earlier, is why people are still shocked that Jeff Jarrett is in the WWE Hall of Fame now. Um, and it starts with TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. And again, WWE did quote, not quote, but did credit Jarrett for being a promoter in a way, promoting shows that gave us AJ Styles in the WWE, that gave us Bobby Roode in the WWE, that gave us Eric Young in the WWE, that gave us, not many women's talents, to be honest, but, at least the mainstays went to the main thing. Even Gad Kazarian for a little bit in WWE, didn't last long, but had him there. And TNA really was a interesting company, and still is to this day. If they're not GFW still, I don't remember. I honestly don't. And I don't want to remember, to be honest. But in that early age, TNA became NWA TNA, which basically was aligned with the NWA. It was honestly the premier show of the NWA on a weekly basis on weekly pay-per-view, which was innovative at the time. But, $5 a week for pay-per-view didn't sound that bad. Then you watch 160 or however fucking many there were weekly. That adds up after a while. But for the time being, it was a great thing because at the time they had control of the NWA World Heavyweight Championship and the NWA World Tag Team Championship, and basically had talent from all over the globe, including that infamous 20-man gauntlet for the gold. But again, this would have happened if Jarrett didn't have a certain amount of money, which we'll get to in a little bit. But also co-founded it with his father, Jerry Jarrett, who we talked about again is a great promoter in the state of Memphis and was for a long time. However, with that had advantages, as Jeff Jarrett became a 6-time NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Not World Champion, World. It says it on the fucking belt. Get it right. Held it 6 times, again. Held the TNA King of the Mountain title, which was basically the red fucking belt. And if you know that belt, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the belt was, for a while, the Legends title, the Global title, the television title, and any other fucking title you wanted to make it into, including the King of the Mountain title. And honestly was probably one of the only titles that was co-promotional with GFW at the time. And of course, Jarrett won that in the 2015 King of the Mountain match, which was on pay-per-view in the main event. But to explain the King of the Mountain match very quickly, because if you don't know what it is, it's a doozy. Basically, 6, 7, maybe even 5 men, depends on how many people are actually in the match, obviously. But to win the match, there's a 2-step process. You must win, first of all, score a pinfall or submission. Once you do that, you are eligible to hang the belt. It's basically a reverse ladder match, but you have to score a pinfall or submission first. The person that is pinned or forced to submit must go to a penalty box for 2 minutes. Thereafter, you are eligible to hang the title, climb the ladder, and place it on a hook or some kind of device to where you can hang the title and win the match. And when you do so, you can take the title basically off the fucking hook because you're the fucking champion. And, again, you must be eligible to do that. You must pin someone or submit someone. It's basically a reverse ladder match. And it was a great concept. It still is. And he won it in 2004, 2006 with the Earl Hebner screw job somewhat. With Hebner pushing the ladder, pushing Christian and staying off, and Jarrett winning the title subsequently after that. Trash fucking flooding the ring. It was brilliant. And 2015, like we talked about before, winning the King of the Mountain title. And the TNA Hall of Fame, which means this is the third man this year going to the TNA Hall of, or not going to the TNA Hall of Fame, but going to the WWE Hall of Fame. That's a TNA Hall of Famer. The Dudleys are the other two, by the way. at least in this class so far. And again, TNA was interesting. It really was, and still is. And without TNA, we wouldn't have an AJ Styles, we wouldn't have a Bobby Roode, we wouldn't have an Eric Young, wouldn't have half the people that went from WWE. Probably the main fucking roster, all of them at one point was in TNA, honestly. And it became a safe haven for those people. Became a kind of WCW light, and I don't like saying that because WCW actually knew what the fuck they were doing at some point. But, you know, it was something. For the USWA, United States Wrestling Association, the holder of the USWA Heavyweight Championship, which you know, was the Southern Heavyweight title, just elevated to a world title status, but also held the USWA Southern Heavyweight title 9 times. And if you were the Southern Heavyweight Champion any time at Memphis, you could challenge for the world title. Or in this case, the Unified World title, which was basically the unification of the CWA title, the USWA title, the World Class title, and the AWA title, all in the one. And eventually that belt did become the AWA title, just modified with the USWA stuff on it, and was literally as the world title as if the NWA didn't exist. At least in the state of Tennessee, and wherever Lawler defended it along the lines. But Jarrett held it 3 times. A holder of the USWA World Tag Team Championships 14 fucking times. And I'm not kidding. Twice with the late great Matt Bourne, as you may know as Doink, or Born Again in the ECW days. Twice with Jeff Gaylord, who was a common guy in there in Memphis. Once with Cody Michaels, and I have no fucking idea who Cody Michaels is. And I've studied up my Memphis wrestling just for these fucking things here. 4 times with Jerry Lawler. 3 times with Robert Fuller. And twice with Brian Christopher, the son of Jerry Lawler, even though he probably doesn't want you to remember that. He won a USWA Heavyweight Championship Tournament in 1991. And the USWA World Tag Team Title Tournament in 1993 with Brian Christopher. For Vendetta Pro Wrestling, the NWA Western States Heavyweight Championship, which was brought back when Vendetta was a territory for the NWA, and was subsequently taken away from the due to the Billy Corgan era of NWA, which has gone pretty good so far, if you think about it. It was honestly a title that was inactive since '81. And was unified in 2017 with the Vendetta Pro Heavyweight title, just for bookending at that point. But, you know, the title did have people like Dick Murdoch, Bob Backlund, Terry Funk, when it was actually a legitimate NWA championship. So it is a great accomplishment. And when we come back, we'll talk about WCW.